Look, man. Where? Oh, I see. Oh my. Bowen, look over there. Wow, is that culture? Yes.
My goodness. Wow.
Yeah. Las Culturistas.
Ding dong, Las
Culturistas
Culturistas calling. Do
calling.
you see what I chose to do with my hands? I was invited to
Evita.
raise my hands up like Evita in our new space.
I mean, very appropriate. We have a Broadway legend among us today.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Oh, this is I went to the wrong one. We're
That's
all
your
finding our footing here in what is essentially a new space that really says we're in New York.
We're next to the Port Authority. Like, it doesn't get more New York than this. It's giving Oliver and Company. It's giving true New York.
Yeah.
Would
In
you
fact,
say?
I would say it's giving true New York. I've been so happy to be here. In fact, I was telling Bowen off air, characters from the past of the podcast have sort of come back into play.
And you better believe it took me 2 seconds to guess who it was, and I was correct.
Yep.
Y'all, Big Bro is back.
Last night I met up with Big Bro.
You met up with him? I thought he just like rolled into the into the chat or something.
Big Bro came by.
For
Big Bro rolled through.
No.
And I gotta tell you, there was a reason why he's a legendary man on this podcast. That man. So basically, for those of you who are joining Lost Coach later in life, we went to.
We were in Fire Island a few years ago, and then Matt. I was not there for it, but Matt had returned. I got there a couple days late. Matt comes back home from a night out and tells the house of his escapade with someone named Big Bro, and how they had something. They were doing stuff by the river. There's no river on Fire Island.
It was one of those Fire Island nights. I was taken by a man who referred to me as Lil Bro, and so by transitive property, he had to be referred to as Big Bro. And that was the
Deductive,
sort of,
yeah.
let's just say, dynamic when I was taken down by the river, which was really the bay,
Which was the bay.
and had pretty incredible sex. And I have to say, years later, in the year of our Lord 2024, better.
Wow.
Even better.
That's always what you want. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes these, it's not a given that it's an upward trajectory. Sometimes you
No.
dip and you...
It's the worst when you have like what we're gonna call
Oh.
mythological sex with someone that becomes part of the canon in your life. You're like, wow, remember that?
a lot
And then
to
you
live up
revisit
to.
it later and it's flop.
Yeah, that's happened.
If it happens every day.
It happens every day.
It's actually Roller Culture number 19.
It happens
It happens every day.
Now, I have so many questions. I feel like... how did the conversation sort of strike
He
up again?
texted. He said, "Are you in town?" I said, "I sure am."
Saw you at the Open.
And
Saw you
like
high-fiving
a
Yannick
man.
Sinner at the Open.
We actually went to the one. Yes, let's transition to that out of this like sort of.
We had a great weekend.
We had a
Friday we
wonderful
went to
weekend.
see our guest in
Ah.
Moulin Rouge the musical, Run Don't Walk at the Al Hirschfeld.
And I got us the best seats in the house. And this actually is it's a real tip to everyone out there. If you ever can buy tickets to a Broadway musical and the first row of the mezzanine is available, grab those seats because I like to see the whole production.
Of course.
And this production is a production.
Oh no, the mezzanine is giving. You have the Moulin, the titular Moulin on one side on house left, and then you have the elephant. The titular elephant from the Love Medley on house right.
Wow, I didn't realize so many titular things.
It's a very titular show, and some tits
Flying around, thankfully.
Some beautiful Broadway bodies.
Let me tell you, if you want to see
see
what we refer to as stacked people dancing about,
And I'm sorry to objectify our guest this way, but
gorgeous,
stunning.
the sparkling diamond,
Her body tea.
body tea, voice tea, acting tea.
Oh my god, we were so we'll bring her into this later, but we fully insulted our guest in a way because we went to her dressing room and we're like, oh my god, your acting was so good, so grounded, and then we left. We were like, no, she's fully been in storied actor, Aquamarine RV. Like, are you kidding me? What are we doing? Like, oh my god, your acting was incredible.
It's because here's the thing: when you are blessed to be one of the great singers of your generation, that's sort of going to be the thing that
that's the headline.
The representation. First of all, can we just say the representation? And it matters. But the reputation of our guest's singing voice, let's just say it precedes her because, first of all, go back with me in time.
Oh.
I know this is mortifying her, but, this is just how it is.
I remember exactly where and when.
And this is what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I was in information processing class. I had an older friend, this girl that you ever have a class with someone and they become your friend in just that class because you have nothing else together?
Yeah.
So I was in information processing, learning how to type on home row. We all know Home Row. Home Row was one of the great girls.
ASDFJ, whatever. Yeah.
It's on the keyboard. So I'm learning how to type to get the maximum words per minute. And I'm next to my new friend Jasmine. And she turns to me and she was like, do you know about JoJo? And I was like, no. What's going on? She goes, this girl is the most unbelievable singer. She's 13. And I think
we
I
were
was
13. We were 13.
I think you were 13. I think I was 14. You're famously a little younger.
Yes.
Seethes for 45 minutes. Fast forward. Finally we resume. Anyway, so I'm like, let me find out. That's when Leave Get Out entered the chat.
Of course. I was on the top level of our cafeteria at Smoky Hill High School. And I saw a picture of her, and then I listened to the song.
Yep.
And I was like, holy fucking shit. I was like, I knew growing up, I was like, there's going to be a day when, like, outside of, like, kids programming and, like, kids TV shows, like, there's going to be someone our exact age who's going to pop the fuck off. Like, I knew this innately as a kid. And then, like, and there she was. Do you know what I mean? Like that was, like, the first person for
and
us.
it got better because then I got the album and I was obsessed with every track. We have to talk about Breezy because it gets talked about in the book in a way that's so funny, and we must get into it. I can't even believe we're here. Baby It's You, we were just saying one of the great songs of all time. Forget About Too Little Too Late. I'll never forget what people think. People like sort of like singing it on the cross country bus.
Forget about
to go to meets and sort of straight guys being like, are you riffing? Maybe I'm like, nah.
Nah, I'm not riffing. And then you were like,
and I was like,
do you know how to tell?
It's just Forget About Disaster, the Bridge of Disaster.
Oh
forget it. And then everything since. I mean, we've just been so like enraptured by and impressed by the memoir. This is Over the Influence by our guest, and if you are a music fan, especially if you are a millennial music fan, you have to read this because it's important. It fills in so many gaps.
Yes.
It's a great exploration of what the music industry can be like, is like, and just really, really important stuff if you're a music lover, a music fan, and wants to learn more about like the industry and this amazing artist.
Just about how it's made, about like what inspires musicians, like the way it's collaborative. Like this is also grounded in like this beautiful realism. It is also so soulful and devastating, but inspiring and uplifting. Like it's everything. I have not had this feeling about a memoir.
Say it.
Well, hold on. It was like, oh, like this is like a friend reading, like talking to me and telling me about their life. But then, not since meeting Mariah Carey.
I was gonna say the same thing. This calls to reading a Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
This references that very same feeling, and also in that way where it's like a very unrelatable story because like who has these experiences besides this individual, but also incredibly relatable in terms of the anxieties, the fears, the self-doubts, the successes, the blaming of self that I think a lot of millennial people go through, especially when you're someone who holds yourself to a very high standard, as you should when you are talented, gifted, have a certain way with what you do, when you're put on a certain pedestal. I mean, I just cannot say enough. And this is a great moment.
Yes.
And she's currently the Sparkling Diamond in Moulin Rouge on Broadway, and you got to get the book. Everyone, please welcome into your ears, Joanna JoJo LaValle!
God, I'm on Lost Coast.
You fully are on Lost Coast, and it's our honor.
It's our honor.
You guys, I'm honored. Thank you so much. That was so cool to hear you talking about the book, because it's one thing to write it, and now people are going to start reading it, and it's just like blowing my mind. So thank you so much for taking the time and saying those nice things about it.
Truly incredible. And like I was like all the way up until the last page, it was just so beautiful. And the way you even wrote about it, like I'm on Waikiki Island in New Zealand right now, typing this, sending it to my editor, and I was just like, there was just this like momentous, like it was on the precipice of something. I was like, she's about to like share her story, and like you're someone that we've talked about on the podcast since the beginning,
many times.
Truly, like.
Well, I said I've been a fan of yours since I heard you sing a note. And you have that. You do have that with like people like in our generation, our age, who it's like this nostalgia, and I wonder how that feels as someone who's still like so young.
It is weird, and dope to hear you guys talk about like the first time you heard about me or heard my
Yeah.
music, because I remember the first time I heard Britney Spears. I was like backstage at the Huntington Theater playing Mustard Seed in A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Wow.
And I remember this cooler older girl was like brought in this big boombox or something and played Baby One More Time. And I'm like, that is fire. What is that?
Yeah.
Who is that? And it's just crazy that people have those like moments with my music.
Yeah.
And I know it maybe is cliche to say that even 20 years into my career, that like it's crazy, but like I don't know how else to describe it. It just is kind of weird.
Yeah.
That we're all the same age and we were growing up at the same time, and I don't know.
And
It's
yet
just kinda
people can be
weird.
like, I grew up listening to your music.
It definitely makes me feel old. And we're not young.
Yes,
but
we're not elders.
But we're not elders. So I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
The fact is,
how
we're
long ago that
mid-30s.
was
Sure,
is
sure.
wild. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy that that's what the fact is?
That is the fact.
Does mid-30s start at 33 or 34?
I don't identify as mid-30s yet.
Okay.
I'm
Okay, how do you
33.
identify?
33. You're like a month younger. December baby.
December, yeah.
December
baby.
20th?
December 20th, 1990.
That's right.
I'm okay with identifying as mid-30s.
I'm okay with it. I just don't yet.
Wait.
I'm okay with it, but it's giving
Do you
early
know
30s.
It's giving
yeah.
early
like
30s.
but it's always mortifying to think like a couple of years after you've turned a certain age and you said at the time like, oh god, I can't believe I'm this age. Like I remember being 25 and saying it's just such a weird age to turn, you know, I feel like I'm in the middle of something, and someone like truly in their mid to late 30s was like, you need to stop saying that. And I remember at the time being like, why? It's how I feel now. But to all 25-year-olds who are saying that, you
Shut
need to
the fuck
stop
up.
saying
Shut
that.
up.
Wherever you are.
But the thing about you
Cease.
hearing this from people though, like I grew up on you, like you're just going to keep hearing that as we all get older. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is just like such a huge important thread in your career and your story. It's like and that's what you build on.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
amazing to have that. I
Yeah.
wouldn't trade it for anything.
No,
I'm grateful
exactly.
as hell. Yeah.
I mean, when we saw you the other night in Moulin Rouge, and by the way, your performance is so great. And
You
you're
were
such
the
a-
best audience members of all time,
We
you guys.
tend to be the best.
Yeah,
audience
yeah.
members.
It is not a surprise.
I'm gonna give us that.
Okay,
I'm gonna
okay,
give us
okay.
that.
As you should.
We're
Take
very
that, give
engaged
it.
and we're very gay. So we're
Yes.
screaming.
We heard, we felt, we loved it.
We were clocking people like there's a scene that takes place on the Champs-Élysées. And everyone's in these fabulous
Yes, this was a highlight.
Skirts
Isn't that
and
a
gowns.
gorgeous, like the
Beautiful.
set design is so beautiful that. Yeah.
I mean, like beyond like the story and the music and the performances, like there is just so much to be said about like the production design of the show.
sumptuous.
Yes, sumptuous. Thank you for that.
Maximalist, sumptuous,
Yes.
all of it. It's so fucking good. But there was just a couple people, and like I think we told Jay this, just people in the back like. Just we can't even do this.
There was this. My
There were
favorite
air
thing-
kisses from a long distance air
to
kiss.
you guys?
Yes. No,
to
no,
us?
to each other.
No, to each other. So my favorite thing to do is, and you're a theater fan, so like you mentioned it in the book, like one of the great things is that you can go back to this show and a lot of these maximalist productions, and you can just watch one ensemble member the whole time to watch their choices,
Yes.
and it's so
Yes,
fun.
yes.
So we were dying, we were screaming silently to ourselves, respectfully in the theater, but whenever like these insanely like well coiffed women in that scene would walk up to each other, they would truly touch hands like this, and they would just go. And they would just, and that's how they'd greet each other. And I was like,
obsessed.
that is everything. Like the opportunity to just be so dumb.
So
And
stupid.
Just like, I love it. I miss it. I miss it. I want
Yeah.
back in the ensemble.
I know. Come on.
It was so fun.
It's a good vibe, the production.
It's a great vibe. And also, how hot is everybody in the show? The ensemble is unbelievable. The legs on the guys who lift me and stuff, if we could just for a moment.
Let's for a moment.
We got to talk about that one
Unbelievable.
guy.
Yeah. I feel as though you're talking about Alec, who has big, beautiful legs. He's so fit. He looks like a, I don't know, like a
like a
Marvel
like a Marvel
character.
guy.
It's like
Yeah.
if Prince Eric was thick. That's what I'm going to say about Alec.
If there were biscuits
this
with
is
those
him.
thighs.
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I'm getting lifted all those times per night, I am in good hands.
Yes.
I know they are in the gym, just getting them reps in so they can
100.
lift my little
No.
self. It's great.
The glute bridges were not missed.
No, not at all.
But one thing I was concerned about was when you do descend.
Yes.
as the Sparkling Diamond, which you do a couple times, because then you
Yeah.
come back as the iconic Kylie Minogue Green Fairy later
Yes,
on.
Kylie Minogue, Green Fairy.
Yes. And so I was like, now I hope she's okay with heights. Because when you book the show, it's like, yeah, of course I'm going to be Satine Amazing. And then they say to you later, well, you're going to have to come down from 100 feet.
Every show.
Yeah, it was so scary the first few times. But I actually saw this show like 2 years ago when it was the touring production of it. So it was at the Pantages in LA. I saw it and I was like, oh my God, it's so romantic and sumptuous
Yes.
and just decadent. And it feels like you're inside a beating heart. I was so into it. And I saw Satine come down from the ceiling and I was just like, ugh. First of all, I'm like, I'll never have a budget like this for my own music. I was like, imagine like getting to do, be in productions like this. I was like, I would just, that'd be such a dream. Then I just kind of put it out into the universe, and then the universe conspired, and here I am playing Satine. And it was scary the first time coming down from the ceiling. I definitely took, are you familiar with propranolol?
Oh, sure.
I'm not.
Well, she'll calm you down.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's for like heart palpitations.
Sure.
Yeah.
I get debilitatingly nervous. So I used to like do just a touch of a Xanax.
Yeah.
And
Tasteful.
now, just a tasteful, mindful amount.
A mindful demure amount. Yeah.
of a
Do your
Xanax.
portion.
So I don't like, but then I was like, oh no, but what if I want to cry? It's not going to let
Right.
me, you know what I mean?
Right.
So propranolol for the first few shows kept me right.
Love.
Got
There
me
you
in
go.
check.
But
And now
now-
I don't need it anymore.
Oh my
Now I'm like,
goodness.
put me
No.
up there, throw me down. I don't even need a harness.
Well,
Yeah.
you wrote this in the book, like, I think it was your first show as Satine coming down. You were like, not even the wings, like the ceiling, about to come down. And you were like, how would Satine feel in this moment? She'd be like, I've done this hundreds of times.
love
People
this.
are coming for me. I need to be in that mindset. And literally
Yes.
people, like,
I don't even need to try.
I would say, spoiler alert, it's like a good like 20-ish minutes into the show before we even see you.
Right.
And like, I don't know, like the people that we were with, we were just like, oh my God, we're here for JoJo. Like, when's she coming out? Like Aaron Tveit, everybody, David Harris, we love the whole cast, the whole
Obsessed.
group.
Tate.
But we're just like, they really are like
Teasing it.
teasing it in such a cool way. Like JoJo's about to pop out, and then you popped down. You
Pop
came down
out and show up.
and show up.
They do the same thing with Nicole in the movie, though. Were you a fan
Yeah.
of the movie?
Big, massive fan. One of my favorite movies, Baz Luhrmann. I love you, and you know it. He came backstage
Did
and
he?
he like showed love, and I'm like, oh my God, you like me? That's
He's a
so
character.
Cool. Such a character.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
I would
yeah.
love to like party with him. Like,
I
wanna,
bet
like,
that option is available to you.
hopefully one of these days. He just seems like such a character, so interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I remember the first time I ever watched that movie. I watched it with my mom. We rented it on demand. And the first half hour is so batshit.
The
that-
whole thing is like boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
boom.
But you come to appreciate its level of batshitness.
Oh, yeah.
Like when you adjust to it, because what happens is you adjust to it and your senses are so overloaded, and then it falls into just being them, and their chemistry together just explodes. And just there's something about her sheer star power and magnitude, and that hair color, and like the way that she is so committed to it. And then the emotional place that it goes. I remember what happened was we watched a half hour of it. My mother was like, I have to tell you, I don't even know what's happening. She
much for mom.
I guess turned it off, left for 10 minutes, and she had probably gone to bed. And I was like, let me go join this again and process. So it came back, and they're in the suite, and it's just the two of them. By the end, I was sobbing
Yeah.
a mess. Had never been so emotionally connected in my life.
Inconsolable.
And it all paid off. And the
Ewan McGregor.
oh yeah,
Oh, come on.
Woo, really pulls at my heartstrings.
Yeah.
that like
Such a
shouty
hip hop.
singing he
I know, I
does
love
that's
his
so
singing.
earnest and beautiful. Yeah.
Ernest.
Ernest.
Yeah, the way that Baz, like his cuts and all that stuff, it's very frenetic, I think. And I
Yeah.
love that about Elvis. I love that about The Great Gatsby. I love that style is just so wild. And yeah, the songs. So you hadn't seen it before the show? Or
neither
you
of us
had?
had seen
We
it.
had I had tickets to see the original Broadway cast, and then COVID.
And then COVID
famously.
happened.
Did you think that the songs would be different? Because the songs are different from the movie.
Yes. Well, I knew that the songs would be different, but I did not. I think the show does a really good job of not telling people like it's not in the playbill. Like you know what I mean? Like I think that's a very good intention, because it's like we should be surprised as an audience about what songs are being sung.
It's always so funny, like when the audience is like, "Oh, I see what you're doing there." Like when Aaron turns his head, and it's like, when I say "Shut up and dance with me" or whatever, and he's like, he looks and winks, and they're like, the audience is like, "Oh, you're gonna go into that song now." Anyway, it's cute.
I love that. So there's the number in the movie, which is Nicole sings, "One day I'll fly away," and that's fully replaced by Katy Perry "Firework."
Is that what it's replaced by?
Pretty much.
I need to rewatch the
There's
movie.
there's a scene where, like, you know, she is preparing, I guess, to meet
talk to
whoever
the
the Duke
Duke.
is,
Yeah.
whoever, and she sings about her desire to, you know, transcend that place and do more. And I guess it's not exactly an emotional one-to-one, but it is like in that same place. And Firework really, it takes you there.
It does take you there. Her Duke was creepy, by the way, like really, really creepy
Right.
in
He
the
was.
movie, and like in our show, he's very sexy and
Very
Australian.
sexy.
And
We were interested in him.
he is interesting.
He's
Yeah.
interesting.
He is interesting. Referring to someone hot as interesting.
That's interesting. That's
One of
When
my
it's
favorite ways.
Really
to
not
refer
always
to
the case.
that. Big bro. Maybe I need to ask you off camera.
Come on,
but
ask
like,
whatever you want. No, on camera.
Big
Let's talk
Bro's
about Big
mythology
Bro.
on this show. We really don't say much off camera here.
okay, great. I really enjoyed the way that you talked about this mythical sex with someone
Yep.
because there are people, and the way you.
Oh, I
so
read the
elo-
book.
I mean, I have my little sexcapades.
Yes.
But into the canon of somebody's what I'm like, yo, because there are people who I have mythicized.
Yeah, of course.
That is great. I'm just gonna start thinking about and speaking about things. That way.
Sometimes though that is dangerous to do because certain situations can't really be replicated. Like I remember that moment was it was kind of watershed for me, that moment, to be honest with you, because I was thinking back around that trip to Fire Island, and like we've been back several times, and that was really like that was the one time I really felt like very, like, I'll just say, like, very sexually free. And like because when you go on a gay vacation like that, or to any destination, you know, it's like wherever like you're supposed to be like debaucherous, let's say like it's like a Vegas thing or whatever the fuck, it's like you can kind of choose your own adventure. And that trip, I remember we were saying we were in our Charizard era.
Yeah, that was the.
Sorry,
Breathing
what?
fire.
Charizard?
Charizard.
We were in our
She was a
Charizard
Pokemon.
era.
She was a
Okay.
famous dragon Pokemon.
Okay.
You didn't want to go up against her.
Ahoo!
So we were in our Charizard era on that trip, and the way it was manifesting for me was just being very forward and available. And I will say, in recent trips, I've missed that person.
Oh.
I've
You
missed that
can
person.
summon that person.
I
again.
know, but don't you?
entitled
I
to.
know what you know what I'm talking about. It's like sometimes it's like that the access to your vitality
Woo!
is sometimes not always, like, I know because you texted me when you listened to the episode last week.
Yeah.
And you said, because she goes, when you said I need access to my penis to feel like Matt Rogers, she goes, well, yes. Which is an SSRI journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're all SSRI girlers.
I'm
have
no
been.
longer.
You're no longer.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm no longer, and that is cool for me.
Yes.
But I loved it at the time.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to not be on it anymore personally.
Of course.
But
Yeah.
you said you were a situational girlie.
That's what my therapist said.
Yeah.
She was like, I think it's situational depression, but yeah, was Prozac for a long time. And then I'm like, do I need to be on, should I be on this forever? Or
Yeah.
can I explore like natural things? Can I explore what happens when I work out consistently?
Right.
And I actually try to take, like prioritize those things.
Yeah.
And it was very good for me.
What's
So-
your journey now? Are you vegan? Like
No.
every day? Okay, God.
I just had a chicken finger.
oh,
I
And
had
aren't
two
they
chicken
good?
fingers. Yes, honey mustard, baby.
honey mustard, baby.
So good. So I'm not vegan, but I love to like cook plant-based.
Yeah.
I've been vegan before. For a relationship, actually, I think is like really why I was vegan at the time. But then I was like, oh, I feel really good. And it's hot. Like if you're vegan together and you're like eating watermelon and like
Gorgeous.
making each other food and like being naked and hot, it was just a moment.
I know.
And yeah. So no, I call myself a flexitarian.
Flexitarian. Would it be nice to have in someone you were with, if they could do the vegan thing with you again, like just like a new person or something?
I really enjoy the freedom of like when I go overseas to eat the cuisine
Yes.
of where I'm at, when in Rome, if you will. So I don't really desire to be vegan right now.
Great.
You know?
Are you with someone now? I'm sorry. This is like my roundabout way of being like, who are you? Are you dating anybody?
I am not dating anyone seriously, but I
Okay.
am outside.
Out
Okay.
there.
I'm outside. And I'm it's so weird. I never thought that I would be on a dating app, but I'm on Raya.
Yeah.
I read that.
Wait, have y'all seen me? Oh, okay.
I know, I haven't seen
I
it,
don't
actually.
see any women, but
I see some women. If you go to the map.
Yeah, if
okay.
you go to the map.
oh.
Jojo not use the map.
So we'll run into Joanna 33.
Joanna 33, not mid-30s.
Not yet
Still
mid-30s.
early.
Still early.
Not
Early
identifying as mid-30s yet. It's a really good.
Maybe that's good. I'm gonna change my
a really good
caption.
Raya
on my profile,
bio.
Yeah.
So do you and so when you're dating now, is the intent, because in the book you also talk about like the many intense relationships that you've had.
Oh, many.
And we
what
would-
are you calling me? Many lovers.
No, but I would say
No, I've
that,
had a
you
lot of
know,
intense relationships.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so, you know, the words love addict are even used.
Right.
Love addicted. And I have to say, I identified with a lot of what you said.
Yeah.
And lately, I've also been on the journey of like, I'm going on dates and it's to spend time with another person.
Yeah.
And is that where you're at now? And have you adjusted to that in a way where you can leave the date and not overthink?
Woo. Yeah, I think that's the beauty of learning how to just go on dates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what you said, and also like not just because I've jumped into relationships or I've been like, this is good, I'm just gonna go with this, and I've been a serial, 2 years, 3 years, one thing after the next, never really free falling, always having my hand on the next monkey bar man, if you will. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
like the
yes,
next
yes.
thing, and always having that security and comfort of the next person.
Yeah.
So since I ended my engagement like almost 2 years ago now, I've been allowing myself to or practicing free falling and like being alone. And last year when I was in Moulin Rouge, after I got into the swing of the show, I went on a few dates like with men that I would have never met just in the wild
Sure.
of life and the circles that I run in and stuff, because it's mostly like singers and artists and performers and stuff like that. So I was saying like swiping no on anybody that was an artist, and just I was like, I went out with a neurosurgeon, I think I said this in the book, and like a teacher and an executive, and but the truth is that I just do like artists.
Yeah.
It's very hard not to.
It's one less thing to explain about yourself.
Yeah, and I just like the way music affects me and how I love it and how I like to like, I grew up like harmonizing with my parents and like singing with them in the car and stuff, and I think there's something very comforting about that. But I question, is the comfort a good thing, or is it something that I should, if it's familiar, should I go try to look for something else? So a long-winded way of answering your question is, have I figured out how to not overthink it? I try to have a full enough life to where I'm like sewing into my friendships, feeling good about my career, the work I'm doing, like being able to look myself in the mirror and be like, I'm proud of you. You're a nice person. You're doing a good job. So then I'm just like, I'm a catch, and I just want to see if I like this person. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to.
What we try to sometimes say, well, you were the first person that said this, and I literally adopted it immediately. But it was, if I'm spending time with you, it's a big deal.
Seriously.
Where did you get that?
I think I just
You
came
made it
with that
up?
myself.
You might
But it
have to write a
really
book.
is a big deal.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Isn't it? And like, especially now for you, where you are feeling this like, not ease, because it's never easy to lead a Broadway show, but it's like you are feeling this like that is a stable center and anchor of your life, but you're now able to like, you were telling us earlier, like have a night out like once a week.
Yeah.
Like that is protected time though.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It is precious. So if I'm going to go out with somebody, a fucking stranger.
I know.
Loose. I don't know who the hell these guys are.
Yeah.
Then it's like it needs to feel substantial, or like there's something of something there.
Yes.
So yeah, and I've never really had that type of stability of like showing up to the same job ever.
Right.
So that is cool to know that I'm going to the same theater, I'm going to see the same people since I was young, and I love the flexibility and the change and all that. But I think there was something in my spirit that was like, it'd be cool to be planted for a few months.
Well, you were saying how the last time you did Moulin Rouge, there was a moment when you went back to LA, and how you were kind of nervous about this stability or the structure kind of just kind of being put on pause for a little bit, right? Like your life back in LA was just like catching up to you again and like kind of hitting you in one like big moment. And I wonder now, like now that you're back and now that you're in the city, like is there some intention now about like staying here a little longer, whether or not it has to do with the show?
Because you do love it, right?
I love it.
Yeah.
And
Aunt Connie's outside.
I know, yeah. My Aunt Connie and my cousin's girlfriend Billy, we're from south of Boston, and they just like they'll drive in, so I get to see my family more often. I was in LA for 14 years, and I didn't realize how far I actually was. Like obviously it's 3,000 miles away, whatever, but like it just made me into a weirder person. Like I am weird, but like it made me into a certain. I'm just good on I'm good on LA right now. I think I've spent enough time there. Being back on the East Coast feels right in my spirit. I think I need it. I need to remind myself of like this gritty little bitch that I am. Like this. I like how weird things happen here. I like the chance meetings that you might run into somebody on the street, and I like all the walking, and I like taking the subway, and I like the community that I feel here. And yeah, I dig it. So I think I'm gonna explore some more neighborhoods and see what feels like the right fit for me.
Come to Brooklyn.
What I was gonna say, what about Brooklyn for you?
Ooh,
What
are
about
you feeling that?
What about like Carroll Gardens?
Okay, I did look
For
at a place
Joe.
in Carroll Gardens. It was like a 5-story walk up, and I'm like, I don't know
Tough.
if I can do
No,
that.
that's tough.
Yeah, that's
sure.
probably gonna be a no for me.
Yeah.
But maybe you can tell me some like cool spots to look. and stuff.
I'm trying to put Matt in touch with my gal, my broker. But
The iconic Ronnie Rose.
the iconic Ronnie Rose, her second mention in a row.
Wow, really? You just throwing
Ronnie Rose is like
business at Ronnie Rose.
another mythological character that looms large, but in
Yeah.
the world of real estate, not exactly.
Ronnie Rose
sex.
is my real estate big bro. She really gave me the business. But anyway, I think I'm feeling okay. So
But
We're
that's
gonna
a
ruminate
long
on that.
commute.
not really.
You know what? Here's the thing.
Oh,
If
but
you have,
but to the Hirschfeld.
Yeah, but like I'm not gonna move into the Hirschfeld. So like you know,
course.
I don't know how long. You know,
Yes,
I'm
exactly.
just like 6 more weeks there. But if I'm gonna want to be a part of that world a little bit more than I don't know to
I
get
think
to
you are
Midtown.
so where you belong
Yeah.
on Broadway
I
and
love
doing
it so
theater.
much.
I mean, I just think it makes sense
Yeah.
because
I'm just having fun.
because you really are great, and I mean,
Thanks, Matt.
you really are. Like,
Gas
and
me
it's-
up, little bro.
I shoot a load to the sky.
That's the title of it.
That's another thing that
Gas
happened.
me up, little bro.
Gas me up, little bro. Period.
Period.
I know,
Wait, that's really
right.
good because I just can see you in so many roles. I can see you just doing a play. Like, I mean, like,
Ooh, great. Yeah, because it would be so nice to not have to think about singing. Do you know what I mean, you guys?
Yes.
It'd be so cute to be able to like go out and have a cocktail and then
I
like do the
know.
show the next day. Not me. Couldn't be me.
you know
Really?
what though? I remember like I saw Idina Menzel in a play.
We
and
did.
I was like,
What
oh
was
yeah,
it?
what was that?
It was Face Value or
Something
something.
like
Whatever.
that.
It was something.
She's doing another one. She has a new one coming out soon.
Oh, great.
What is it? A musical or is it a play? Because I saw her in a play, and I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah,
"This
yeah.
is Idina famously of singing."
Yes.
And just to see her in a play, I was like, if you get connected to this, like, this part of town, like, they'll think of you for all sorts of things. And I have to
Yeah.
imagine that, like, well, obviously, like, you're doing things outside of Moulin Rouge that are, like, exciting. But I do want to ask, like, just in terms of recorded music, like, you talk about the song Porcelain at the end of the book.
Yeah.
Is that something that we're going to be hearing?
Yes, I'm putting out new music soon.
You
so I think
are?
we're gonna lead with Porcelain, which is really cool. And I'm just so nervous because I just haven't put out music in a long time. And
It's been 3 years?
I think so. It feels like it's been 33 years. It feels like I've never put out music before. Actually, it's so weird. But yeah, I'm really excited just to rip the Band-Aid off and just put stuff out. Like
New
there's
era.
New era. There's so much dope music out there, and I just want to play. I just
Yeah.
want to be, just have fun.
We were saying the other day, you're really into the Sabrina album.
So good.
I feel like you guys speak to each other.
You really
She is
do.
so funny and
Yeah.
cute and horny, and I'm obsessed.
She
I
also
love her.
can map out a riff.
Yes.
Totally.
Oh,
She is really like. Is she underrated as a vocalist?
100%.
She
In
is.
fact,
This is hysteria, yeah.
there was this video of her like just messing around with this Jasmine Sullivan song.
Yes. Oh, I've seen.
And SZA commented
Yes.
like, "I did not know you had it
Exactly.
like this."
And a lot of us felt that way.
Wow.
Do you know Eric Vitro, the
think
vocal
so.
coach. She's Ariana's vocal coach.
Oh,
I feel like
great.
I don't know if he went over to the UK. Like he's been a part of her life for a long time. But he's also he works with Sabrina. I work with him from time to time. He's great. He's in LA. If you guys ever need someone, he's
Amazing.
such an
I
amazing
feel like
resource.
all three of you that you just mentioned, like I hear a ton of Ariana, like
Yes.
in like all three of you guys' stuff. Like I thought Sabrina's album was just like, not only was it incredibly well performed and well written, but it's like a fusion of those two things. There's just a lot of personality. It feels like getting to know someone better.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I think that on your last two outputs too, like, I don't know. Sometimes when I was reading the book, I was like, man, this has to be a really difficult thing to have such a complicated relationship with things other people truly love.
Yeah, it makes me feel really bad.
No, because I completely identify with that.
Do
part.
you?
Of course.
Of being like, well, it means something to people, and so therefore it is like valid and important. It's something that you should honor as someone who made it, but also, and I'm just talking about like little
Iceberg.
4-minute sketches. You know what I mean? And, yeah, sure. Let's say
Like when
Iceberg.
everyone comes
Like
up and
sketches
says
that
like,
you hate
"Oh
or
my god,"
sketches that you don't?
it's not
That I
even
hate.
hate. It's just like when someone just boils you down to a thing.
When someone someone will just shout across the street like iceberg, and I'm like, I don't-
Aquamarine.
yeah,
Is that what they?
It's happened.
does Aquamarine
It
have
yeah,
it a
that
lot?
happened.
Yeah, I'm the girl from Aquamarine.
Period.
You know?
You're
Period.
so good in that, though.
Oh well, thank you so much.
You really are.
But please tell me more about.
Well, no, it's just I really, and what Matt's getting at is like it must be it's a constant renegotiation internally where you're like, and it lands like the pendulum finally like stays at, aren't we so lucky to be doing what we do?
Yeah.
But like, I think you are so honest and vulnerable about how difficult a lot of these songs that you had, not that you had to put out, but that you put out were because it was being dictated by all these other people.
Yeah, and that makes me feel. A lot of ways, it makes me feel like a little embarrassed because, but not to where I'm like, hanging my head down, like it's just
shameful,
it's,
yeah.
I don't feel ashamed about it because I understand now, like why I made decisions all throughout my life, like even ones that I'm like where I hurt people or wherever, but like as it goes with that, like it kind of just makes me really excited when I see artists that are just, I believe they really are fighting for their vision. That takes a lot of courage. I think it also takes a lot of support from other people around them, whether it's their management or, just even family and friends and stuff who like really see and want to help them pull that off, I think. And I always felt kind of alone, like when I was trying to fight for something. So then because I was going through stuff in my personal life or family life, and I had like been in this wicked long lawsuit and I just had no more resources energetically or financially or anything, I just like felt so backed into a corner.
Yeah.
That so I'm like embarrassed that I like did songs that I didn't love, but I understood why I trusted, executives that were like, this is gonna be a hit. And I was like, I just think I'm supposed to have more hits. So I'm just gonna do what you tell me to do because everyone's telling me you're supposed to be this or blah blah blah. So, but I'm sure
It's an
you
interesting
can understand the
thing, though,
confusion that
because
I felt.
They happened to be right the first time. So
Yeah.
for
Leave, Get Out.
So for Leave Get Out,
100%.
in the book you discuss how you first heard Leave Get Out even as a 12-year-old, and you're like, this doesn't feel like me, and I don't get it. And then you record it, you put your thing on it, and it literally immediately pops off. So then it becomes a core belief. These people do know best.
core belief. And it was no longer those people that were telling me. It was just other people that filled that place. So I was like, oh, even though it's not like Barry and Vincent, making these calls, it is other people who also know, who also have had success in that area. And because it's a core belief, they whoever they are, know better than me. And but then those songs that I compromised on, it just never popped off like the promise was. So I'm like, so then you just feel silly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
But it's kind of a blessing in disguise because to sing over and over and over again songs that you just really don't feel like you, like if they're not big hits, you like don't have to sing them.
Sure.
Right.
Like, totally fine.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then you,
like Creature of Habit, for example, which I like
Yeah.
don't care for that song. I'm so glad that I don't have to sing that. I'm a creature. What the fuck? I'm
Creature-
sorry to
You're
hold
singing
for-
the words, I'm a creature?
I'm a creature, and I just did Masked Singer. I'm like, honestly, I want to take myself off of this planet right now. This is insanity. But that was the recommendation.
We talk about climbing Cringe Mountain. I feel like the way you wrote about your time on The Masked Singer was, I think, kind of beautiful and sort of really
Yeah.
holistic too, because you're just like, this is obviously like not where I thought I was going to
Not
end
what
up.
I thought I was going to be doing.
But you've like crossed that fire and that crucible, and like you can literally do anything. Like no one can tell you.
I
shit.
actually really enjoyed doing it. It was 2020 or 2021. So I was like very much about getting a check as well.
Sure,
Get the check and get out the house.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it was cool. I got to sing songs that I wouldn't have. Like I sang "How Am I Supposed to Live Without You," Michael Bolton.
Major.
Major.
By the way, your cover of "Can't Fight This Feeling" from Lisa Frankenstein, which came out this February.
Zelda Williams, director of it. Oh, come on, Zelda! That movie, cult classic, instant.
Cult classic.
Love
It really, like, that song, you gave that song.
Yeah.
Thank
You really did.
Thank
you
you.
gave every song, but
Well,
like,
thank you.
I mean, one thing that I think was a really fun thing when it happened, and also it's really interesting to look back now that like Taylor has her Taylor's versions of stuff, is you re-recording your first 2 albums and releasing them in 2018. And I do remember being so excited when they came out, because I was like, because they weren't available for streaming, and I was such a, I think I didn't know where my 2004 actual JoJo compact disc was, nor would I know how to play it now. But when you did that, and by the way, Doug Krantz actually has a gift.
Doug!
When he takes photos for me when I'm doing my show
He
sometimes.
takes the best photos.
He's really great,
really
and
is.
he gave me as a gift those 2 vinyls.
Wow.
And so I have them in LA.
the 2018 vinyls.
Yes.
I love.
And
real
so,
ones now.
but what's great about the re-recording of that, and like I was really happy to see that you write this in the book, is that when you finally got to re-record those things and you have those little bittersweet moments of reconnecting with, you know, what it felt like to record them the first time, it almost feels like you can speak to and perform them in a way that you actually understand those emotions.
Right.
And in a way, it's like,
Well, those
they're
grown-ass
new
songs. Yeah, and they are new
They were
songs.
grown-ass songs
Grown-ass
because you had a
songs.
grown-ass voice.
The Way You Do Me? What am I talking about? How to Touch a Girl? I mean, How to Touch Her Heart, but like, I don't know. So, you know,
I
a
mean,
lot of
But
it
How to
was-
Touch a Girl, I mean, like, it's really meaningful that it's like a song that you wrote, and it's like such a
thanks.
beautiful. It's like Aretha, like this girl's in love with
That
you
was
era.
the inspo.
It's
Yeah,
so
that
good.
was the inspo. But even singing like "Keep On Keeping On," which was like the
Love.
song that I wrote by myself at 12 years old for my first album, I was like really touched by thinking about my little prepubescent self walking around the apartment complex and like writing those lyrics, and then to re-sing them. It was, I just, even in just writing this book in totality, I realized how very little I had actually taken the time to try to remember, because I didn't want to.
Wow, that's really interesting.
I didn't give myself the time or space to appreciate how unbelievable my life is and has
Yeah.
been. The things that I've accomplished, the things I've overcome, to me, it feels like against the odds that I'm still alive sometimes. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I'm like, to take the time and be like, even the wisdom that I had at 12 years old to like want to encourage myself and others and keep on keeping on. Like,
Yeah.
that's precious.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, little Joe.
And that she was speaking to you 20 years later.
Yes, she was still
Yeah.
telling me to keep on keeping on. I'm like, what is
Yeah.
happening? It was cool.
But that's interesting to hear you say that, like, you weren't sure what the capacity for your own memory was, because like the detail is very granular and it's very specific in this book, and I wonder if that must have been, and I'm sure it was, like a very intense process of just like picking out these details of just like, even like you talking about like how long this hallway in this Vegas hotel was. I was just like, yeah, that's so specific. Like that's tied to a very dark memory. But you're like, but just even in the book, you're like these Vegas hotel hallways are fucking long.
And that is very
You
visceral. That
know?
detail is very visceral because you
course
can feel it.
Well,
So like I imagine it was really deep kind of excavating of like the details of those really intense moments.
yeah, I mean, I've been in therapy for a long time now. And so I have thought about some of the like pain points in my life, because I've wanted to work through them and try to learn something or grow from them. But like that moment in Vegas, for example, that is a hinge point in my life where it's also my mom's story. And I wanted to be really thoughtful and sensitive about the way that I told things that were her story and that are pain points for her too. But I realized how much I had protected other people to my own, to where it was like too much for me to bear.
Yeah.
And that these, like, I can see that room, that Vegas hallway, because that was a moment that I'll never forget.
Yeah.
You know, I can see the letter that my mom wrote me, and I can see it strewn, you know, all the things that are in the book and that happened and that I didn't know if I was ever going to share.
Yeah.
That my family knows and things like that. But, and it's not from a place of wanting to call anybody out or anything like that. Like, trust me, I wrestled with it. But the story that I tell in this book and what my experience has been is about redemption and evolution.
Yeah.
And people can change if they want to. And that by sharing it all, no one can use anything against you. No one can, like, you know what I mean? There's nothing to be ashamed of.
I mean, I think that's beautiful. And the theme that kind of rang for me in reading this was, like, from the beginning, from your first appearance on Kids Say the Darndest Things, which I loved as a kid
Wasn't
too.
that
Like
the
when they brought
best
it.
show? I loved
So
it too.
sweet.
Yeah.
But it's like from your first moments being on camera, it's like you were talking to like a very complicated adult. And then I think the theme of this story for you is that like your whole life and your career has been about like being affected by these very complicated individuals, and that you by the end of it have the grace to forgive a lot of them and to like to complete them as people in the way that you talk and write about them. I think that is like the story of JoJo to me. Like,
Wow. Oh my God. Thank you for saying it like
Yeah.
that. I really appreciate it because I did have fear about anybody feeling upset or like I put them out there. Look, I don't paint myself in like the rosiest, light. I'm not a victim, nor am I a villain. I've been all things. And a lot of people have been that in my life too.
Yeah.
So
It's not like anyone can read this book and be like, wow, she really went out of her way to make it seem like everyone was the bad guy.
good, because that's not how I look at it. That's not how I look at my life.
In fact, I think one of my favorite parts of this book is when you literally just tee it up by being like, I don't even know how to say this, so I'm just going to say it. I cheated on someone.
This awesome person.
This incredible person.
Yeah.
And I think that was actually one of the things that, of course, like if you're on your like moral high horse or whatever, like which people of course undoubtedly may be,
Yeah.
you might not see yourself in it. But I think that like all I know is this idea that I know this is the wrong thing to do, but the urge inside me, whatever, you paint that really, really vividly. This compulsion.
This saboteur compulsion
Yeah,
inside, which I think, in the way that I think about addiction can be to stimulation, to love, to substances, to getting outside yourself, to chaos, I've flirted with all of that. You know what I mean? And I think that I was in such pain and there was such confusion and chaos in my life that it's as if I needed to poison this like one thing because I felt unworthy. It's like I wanted to test maybe subconsciously how much. It's just there's no excuse.
Yeah.
But looking back, and through therapy, I'm just like, why?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The excuse is that the human condition.
Right.
It's like that's what it is. It's like it's irrational, it's
Selfish.
but also it's informed by like, and this is me, I'm not putting blame on these people, but it's I think it's a product of you being on the receiving end of a lot of adults and people who were there to protect you, who made you feel maybe unprotected at times.
I felt very alone.
Yeah.
I did not feel. Yeah. So
Anyway.
You know who looms very large in this book, who I wanted to ask you about, is Aaliyah. Like, from the very beginning, it feels like there's this moment where you go into Barry Hankerson, who was her uncle,
Yeah.
and who was, you know,
President
the
of
founder
Blackground,
of,
yeah.
of Blackground, and, you know, he obviously is a complicated figure in the book and at large, but there was a moment where you sing for him, and it was your first time meeting him, and there's a moment where he says he literally saw her spirit, and her spirit told him that you were the one to invest in.
Insane.
Insane. I texted him when I got to that part.
Insane.
But
Insane.
but that in many ways it's insane, because it's like you believe that he believed it, but also you also think this is a manipulation,
yeah, totally.
because there's probably no more, especially when that person is literally at that point like a specter, like they're not there, and her image is so brandished and utilized for this thing that is like, you know, of the past, but also will always feel contemporary. It's like she is an ideal that can never really be
Truly.
reached.
Unbelievable.
And when you know, in the years since she's passed, like I feel like, you know, the things that have come out about R. Kelly, the things that have come out about a lot of people around her. I want to know what your relationship to her is today.
Oh my God. She's an icon. There's no one, like, she has inspired all the girls, myself included, but everyone who's putting out music around her time and since then, like, she is the one. She's the prototype, and an amazing actress and all-around performer. She was about to go on and do the Matrix series, I think,
Yeah,
right?
she was.
Like, she was, and she had just done Queen of the Damned and, you know, Romeo Must Die and all these things, like, just unbelievable. I feel so much for her because of, I know her, some of her family, you know, in dealing with Blackground. That label was founded for her because Barry had taken her to every other label and they said she's too young, we don't want to deal with it, blah, blah, blah. Then he was also managing R. Kelly at the time. And he put them together to work together. The rest is history in many ways. And she was not protected.
Yeah.
She was a child, and she, you know, acted grown and looked grown and was singing grown music and everything.
Make her look very grown.
Yeah. And there was this whole mystery and amazing thing surrounding her. Like, her aura was larger than life, and the marketing and the music and just everything was perfect. But now that I'm an adult, I'm like, she was not protected. And matter of fact, it was just, I know a lot of things that I'll never say.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy, all the stuff that's come out with R. Kelly. Thank God.
Yep.
Because I heard so many stories. It really was the industry's biggest secret. And there were people around that facilitated that. And you can, you know, through, without me needing to say it, know who facilitated that. And, you know, it's just, there's no way around it. It's disgusting.
It's
Yeah.
really rough.
And I feel like your connection to her is even kind of projected onto the way that, like, Blackground sort of withheld both of your work for so long. You know?
Yeah, so every label has to do a deal with the digital streaming platforms. Like, that was going on when kind of the digital streaming revolution was happening and everything was changing and people were streaming music as opposed to, like, buying it and stuff. So every label, no matter how big or small, needed to do individual deals with all the DSPs. My former label that Aaliyah was on as well, and Tony Braxton and Timbaland and stuff, they did not do a deal. They just didn't get to it. Or they just, like, you know, they just made interesting business choices that I'll never
Interesting business choices.
fucking ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
Yeah.
So my stuff was not available on streaming. Neither was Aaliyah's. Her fans were going crazy online. My fans were going crazy online. And I was like, if I can do something about my own history, legacy being snuffed out, I need to try to do something. And so then I re-recorded my old music. There was no real precedent for that. I had
truly.
hadn't seen that be done before. So we just went for it. And then a couple years later, they got to doing a deal with it, and then it just looked like I just wanted to re-record my music, but it was out of necessity.
Yeah.
And
I could tell even then. I was like, this must be a thing of, like, there must be something fucked up going on, and the fact that you were doing that was, like, both, I'm sure, empowering for you, but also you have to know so empowering and fun for your fans.
Yes.
Yes, because
Truly.
like I'm telling you, like
I hope so.
oh God, yeah. Just to first of all to even have access to it was huge, and the second of all is just like. I know you talk a lot in the book about like your relationship to your singing voice now versus then, and how there is a lot of anxiety around just the way the human voice changes for both
Every
you
7
know,
years, they say.
Really?
Have you heard of that? The
Yeah,
vocal
I haven't
thickening?
heard of this.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that you're entirely cellularly replaced
That's
every
7 years. But I think 7 is vocal. Well, we're not. None of us are scientists.
The chemist over here.
No.
He is pretty close to a scientist.
No. That's not
believe
true.
it.
But yes, like the way you write about it in the book is so honest too, because you're like, because now I'm sure you love the way your timbre, but it's like I'm sure with the changes as you age, it's like
It was weird to accept.
of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, my first album, I hadn't got my period. Like I wasn't
It wasn't a woman's voice.
quite literally
Yeah.
not a girl. I was a girl, and also not yet a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was weird because I'm like, oh my god, people are always going to compare my voice to a prepubescent voice.
Yeah.
And now I just don't care. I'm just
Yeah.
too old for that. I'm
Well,
just too grown.
I will say, like, something about the first 2 albums not being on streaming, but then the 2018 albums being, right? Like there was like a little
Well, they
window.
weirdly then put the albums on stream.
Exactly. That's what
Right.
I'm saying. So then I
So
looked
it made you
silly.
look like-
Yeah, but whatever.
But I think I just stayed with the 2018 releases, and I just prefer those versions now. Honest, dead ass.
Really?
Conviction down.
Like
Conviction down.
conviction down.
Thank
I'm
you,
like,
Owen.
we're listening to Baby It's You 2018. I don't. It's just it's
Ooh,
better.
just a little richer.
Well,
it's
let's
richer.
just
I
say
think it's just better than.
the fact that you still like Baby It's You
I do.
is huge for us.
Oh.
Because we can. Because
I don't dislike Too Little Too Late or Leave Get Out or anything,
No,
guys.
no,
First of
Okay.
all, I get what you're saying, but like you don't really talk shit about Too Little Too Late.
No, because I wanted that.
I
That
love
was
Too Little Too Late.
That was my shit. Like, it was sent to my sidekick messenger or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, the demo from... her last name Cunningham. She's super dope. And then Billy Steinberg and Josh Alexander. And it was sent to me, and I was like, I knew that if I could get this song, that should be my next single.
Too Little
for
Too Late was everything.
everything.
And I just have to shout out, Not That Kind of Girl.
Oh, period.
2018, just
Better than the original.
so much better.
Yeah.
First of all, the way you tore up SWV
Weak.
like as a 12-year-old,
Are you kidding me?
you had absolutely no right. And I was
I
not
really did
surprised
have
that
no
the
right.
girls were reaching out because that had to be who from that time was like a singer that reached back out that you were especially gagged. It had to be a ton of people.
What do you
Like
mean?
around that time when you get introduced
singers?
as
like Brandy.
yeah,
Yeah.
period.
I mean,
Totally.
that was like
No
blowing
better
my
than
mind.
that.
Shaka Khan, I remember. Whitney Houston. I
Oh
mean, sent me
my
flowers to Madison
God.
Square Garden.
You're
when I was,
kidding.
No, when I was performing at like a Jingle Ball or something. Her and her daughter, rest in peace to both of them,
Wow,
Bobby
yes.
Christina.
Bobby Christina.
They sent me flowers, and I'll never forget that moment.
That is the ultimate validation as a singer.
It really is. Actually, I don't need anything else.
Period.
Truly.
But like, there are so many wonderful moments in the book too, where you just talk about these like moments and these interactions with all these singers, like Destiny's Child, and
Oh yeah.
even like going to Taylor's house with Selena, and
Yeah.
how she was like keeping up with the lawsuit, and just so many things. Victoria Monet.
I love the Victoria Monet piece because we just saw we're a Victoria fans.
Yeah.
I'm
Speaking of
one
Big
her
Bro, I
biggest
think
fans.
that she may have made an appearance last night sonically.
I have texted her this. I was like, I have had
your
some of the
motherfucking
best
moment.
dalliances of my life to her music.
Oh,
period.
yeah.
I really have.
got this feeling for you.
Yeah, you did. It's your motherfucking moment. Show me what you got.
That and Ariana Positions
Yeah.
were big
Well,
fuck
Victoria's all over
albums for
positions,
me.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, look, her
Deep in
her
the
hand
canon.
on all contemporary R&B pop music is monumental, and we
Indelible
saw her at
influence.
Coachella.
Indelible.
She killed it.
Of course.
I've
That
seen
was the live
performance.
show.
She's a force. Mm-hmm. I could not be happier for her. No one deserves it more.
Nope.
And she's a mother.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm just in awe.
Just to
Wild.
see, like, by the industry standards, like, someone quote unquote older or like up in years.
No, it's fire.
Yep.
She's
amazing.
mid-30s, looking better than anyone in the world.
Yep.
And it's just, it's
The
inspirational.
aesthetic is so, you can just tell it's someone who has, you know, for better or worse, I'm sure coming up it felt like, when is it going to be my turn? But now that it's like she can have this fully realized, like, visual, like, sonic, like, you know, emotional identity in what she's doing that feels really satisfying.
That's the exact word that I would use to describe it. It's
Yeah.
satisfying because of all the thoughtfulness, the attention to detail. She spared no expense. She put everything into this. I love Jaguar 1 and 2. I'm just so here for everything that she does. Like, I trust her as an artist so much. And she's such a beautiful person.
Yeah.
And I know so many people that are in her orbit, and I've, you know, known her a little bit throughout the years, and she's just, it's so cool to see her.
I was with your former castmates, Liz Gillies and Frankie Grande, during those Grammys. We were at Ari's, whatever, name drop. But but watching her win, like, Ari burst
Major.
into tears.
Yeah.
Like, when Victoria won the Grammy, it was just like everyone, Liz and Frankie, just everyone was just like this. They were just turning to me, being like, "You have no idea.
No idea.
This girl deserves it more than anybody."
So yeah, so when she was on the Fifth Harmony tour that I was on too,
Yes.
and just to see how humble she was grateful for the opportunity, just kind of doing her thing. I think she had written for them or was working with them, and I'll never forget, you know, just how she just had a fan on her, just like a fan blowing her hair, and she learned how to do all the things behind the scenes, and it's just truly the
Yeah.
best story ever.
Yeah.
I mean, as we're talking about her, like, it just makes me excited for Porcelain and for everything that's coming with you, because Sagittarius Sun, Aquarius Moon,
Yes.
and that made sense to me.
Capricorn?
Sag.
Sag, because it made sense to me, just because you have this thing in the book where you're like, I was always told I was like left of center, or that you always have these experimental ideas, and that's the Aquarius, I think.
Yeah.
And then I'm also like, I think you're one of those people where it's like Charlie popping off recently. It's like, oh no, the industry had to catch up to that. You know what I mean? I
So happy
feel
for
that way
Charlie,
with
too.
you.
Oh, well, thank
I
you.
feel that way with you, where it's like, now that we're in this like really experimental place with music and with R&B and with pop and dance and all these other things, it's like you're gonna meet that moment, you know what I mean?
I'm so inspired by everything that I see and the people that you just named. Like, it's, even though I've been doing this a long time, it really fills me with a lot of energy to see that, and to keep believing for myself too, that like, if you are true to your artistic vision,
Yep.
you are clear about it, like, build it and they will come, and the right people will come, and it can take time, but you know, just to keep that faith is,
It's a long game.
it's a long game.
And we're talking about the culture. I think it's time to ask Jojo the question.
Yes, I mean it is. I'm just like sitting here like, and I'm just thinking about like all the times you were like, all I wanted to do was do my vision, and they stopped me, and I was just thinking like about how authenticity is what people are truly responding to right now, and it's such a great time. Like, no one can tell you or anyone now that like, oh, R&B isn't what's in. That's not the way we should take pop. It has to be pop rock. It has to be pop dance or whatever.
Ugh.
We're in such an eclectic time.
Yeah,
and
what is a genre even?
that's
Like,
what I'm
it's-
saying. Is
yeah.
it's like it feels like a really ripe time, and like, speaking of time, we'll go back in it and we'll ask you the question, Joanna Levesque. What is the culture that made you say culture was for you?
Okay, I hope I understand this question correctly.
It's okay that you don't.
Okay.
It's like sort of a good
I'm going to
question.
give you my
like that.
interpretation.
Yeah.
Divas Live.
Thank you for
Has
saying
anyone
these
said it?
words.
Divas Live.
If they have, they haven't said it today.
Okay, I know that's right. that was everything for me.
Yeah.
Seeing like,
Yep.
you know, Mariah and Shania
Say
and
it.
Celine.
Shaka and Celine and Whitney and like all of these women.
They used to do it every year, and
Come
then they just
on!
stopped. I was like, why did they stop?
They have to do it again.
For me, that was everything for me. It made me feel so alive, and I was like, oh, I want like a little bit of this one and this one and this one, and I like,
Yes.
one day I want to be like that.
Talk about genres all coming together. I mean,
Yeah.
they represented everybody.
Gloria.
I don't even think I knew who
Gloria.
Shania was.
It's like
And that-
Bonnie Raitt there, like,
Yep.
you know, it's just, yeah, so cool. And I feel like now would be a great time to bring that back. I think
amazing time.
They did something. I did like a Divas Live Christmas thing a few years ago, and that was that was sick. But really, the heyday was in the late 90s.
Yeah,
That's when I was
100%.
a little cherub.
Yes.
Sitting and putting in my VHS tape, and taping it, and watching it back over and over again. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that was truly the moment. I remember it was like the first one they ever did. Mariah came out first, and she did, I think, My All, and then Make It Happen.
Woo! If you believe in yourself,
And you know I saw it on your playlist for the album.
Make it
For the book, I mean. Like, Make It Happen was on your...
You be knowing, you be looking.
I don't know how many times I have
Matt,
to tell you I'm a fan.
I love you.
I love you back. I've loved you from jump. Like, I mean, like, but I get, and also calling back to her book. She talks about, you know, she has such a relationship with that song because it was truly a documentation of where she was at, like hitting the pavement. And you know that that's
Wow.
why she included it that night.
She said, what? Not more than 3 short years ago, I was abandoned and alone with
without
not
a
a penny
penny
to my name. So very young and so afraid. I took the shoes. I kept the shoes upon my feet. Sometimes I couldn't even eat. I often cried myself to sleep, so I had to keep on going. Never knowing if I could take it, if I could make it through the night. Come on, she is preaching.
And then at the end, she is wailing.
Yeah.
You can make it!
Yeah, look at her.
Yeah.
I think like all the instruments, like it's just like the drum, it's just percussion, but like every
Roaring.
she's just roaring.
It's because she is preaching.
Whew.
She is preaching.
Me as like a 6-year-old girl was like just, I don't know why I needed that injected into my veins in that way, but yeah.
But Divas Live was like giving you a fucking buffet.
Buffet.
You know what I mean? That's what we need to bring back. It's like get all of them on the same stage.
And you want to know what, too? It created iconic moments in the culture,
Selena
such
and Aretha.
as Selena and Aretha doing their sing-off at the end, which I know is controversial amongst the girls. Like, Mariah, like, you know, feels some way about it, I think. But, like...
Who won that, though? Was it
I don't
Celine?
think we can confidently say there was a winner.
I hear you, but like, wasn't one of them kind of like just unaffected by it? Some were playing.
I think
into
Celine
it.
was just in playful mode.
Okay,
And-
which
and-
I love her so much.
love
for
her
her
so much
playfulness.
for that, but then you could see some other ladies were like in reverent mode. Like Mariah truly was in reverent mode.
Reverent
she
of
was like,
Aretha.
you don't
Yes.
go up to Aretha and challenge.
And that's how I feel.
Right.
But
And I love
Celine, I
Mariah
think
for that.
maybe there's just I think maybe because like Celine maybe culturally didn't come up in a place of like
Well, she's Canadian,
Right.
It's just
kooky.
different.
and sings like a different genre, I guess you could say. And then like so, but I think like it was just funny to hear about later, like that Mariah felt like that was like
like just
disrespectful.
let Aretha. Yeah.
Yeah. Let her have the
Oh
moment. She
my
is the queen of
gosh.
soul. She is why we're here. In fact, they built that night around her.
Right.
Period.
They didn't. They had to turn all the ACs off.
This is an iconic thing. Did you know about this?
No.
She will not sing with air conditioning, and so the air conditioning was turned off,
I mean, good
and
for
it was very hot.
good for the chorus.
And now you can see in the
why everyone's.
in the
everyone's
footage
sweating.
of the night, everyone has their playbills going
Church
like this, like
fans.
as if it was church.
If you want another memoir to read, it was written by Dave Ritz, and he interviewed her over years, and it's Aretha's memoir. It is so good, really interesting. I had no idea what her childhood was like, and her father was a creep, a famous pastor, mad creepy, but really amazing. Especially if you guys love Aretha.
Were you like researching a lot of other?
I was reading a lot of memoirs
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
past
yeah.
couple years when I was thinking about writing one. I'm like, let me just get this all in my brain so I can see what
You must
what
have read
happens.
Mariah's.
Yes.
It's
Love.
truly.
I mean, and her audiobook is really what it's
So
all
good.
about.
Are you doing yours? Of course.
Yes.
You are. Of course.
Yes.
So
and we better hear you sing.
I still don't know if legally they were able to clear
Oh,
with
sure.
the publishing. I just cracked my hand on here. Want to hear some more? Here we
iconic.
go.
Ooh, I can do
Yeah.
that too.
ASMR.
Satisfaction.
Very satisfying.
So yeah, I hope that they were able to get clearance because I did sing the words and the stuff. So we'll see.
Oh, we hope.
Hope so.
Exciting.
That would be good. I mean, did you have emotional moments reading it? Was there parts that were very difficult to get through?
Yeah. So I did it over a course of like 5 days. It was like 5 hours a day for 5 days. And
Yeah, that's a lot.
It was cool. It was cool. I'm glad I couldn't have let it go down with anybody else reading it. That'd have been so weird. I have a pretty nice speaking voice. I felt like I could do it. So
We love hearing your voice.
In any capacity.
But like, so in terms of like the Divas Live of it all, we have to know who does, if there's 5 today.
It's really hard.
And yeah, that's the thing is there has to, I guess it's like you have to
Okay.
build it around Beyonce.
Right. You have to build it around Beyonce, Ariana.
Yes,
Beyonce,
certainly.
Ariana. I want to say
Adele,
yeah,
maybe.
Adele.
You think-
I always put Kelly out there.
Kelly
Kelly
Clarkson.
Clarkson.
Kelly Clarkson can sing.
There's only one
there's only
left.
one
Who
left.
the
I
hell?
know.
Now I need a country person.
Oh,
we
of
might-
course.
Carrie. And,
I suppose it's Carrie. She certainly can sing like a motherfucker.
yes, she can in those legs.
Yeah. Oh,
those legs.
I have a Barry's trainer who I literally have to stop working out every time because he goes, after this, you're going to be looking like Carrie Underwood. And it's just the gayest thing.
this
Shout out to
Kyle
Kyle
K?
K. I mean, like, Kyle K has now become a celebrity
Kyle
on the
K.
podcast. He needs to be on.
Kyle K, come on.
Like, but like literally, like he always is saying, after this, our thighs are going to look like Carrie Underwood. And I have to put my waist down because I'm like, you are so gay. It's the best. Because no one gets it. Like the
How
women.
do you not? Doesn't everybody know that
everybody
she's the
gets
best
it.
legs I've ever
Is
seen?
that, is that like factotum?
She really shows them off on the album covers.
Those gams.
Okay, she could be
Yeah.
in Divas Live.
Yay! You just cast that like in 2 seconds.
I mean, you starting with Beyonce and then
Like,
me
gotta
following
give
up
it.
with Ari and then Adele. I
Adele.
mean, from there,
We haven't even said the words
Beyonce.
Jennifer Hudson though.
Jennifer Hudson.
Jennifer
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
You know who also? I mean, Miss Renee Rapp
We love her name.
Oh, love Renee.
kills it.
There's so many.
There's just so many, and isn't that amazing? Is it's just like
it's a good time.
It's
I
a
think,
really
for
good
talented
time.
girls. Yeah.
Yeah.
like you also like you have Tinashe on Good to Know.
Yeah, come on, Tinashe.
watching her moment now, like
I really feel like that's the song of the summer.
oh yeah.
Nasty.
Yeah.
So good.
But I know it's a controversial topic of what is the song of the summer.
People this year it's harder than
It's
ever.
hard. We had a really good summer.
I mean, Espresso, for me, it's between Espresso and
Nasty.
I think we have to give it to Espresso just because of the ubiquity and the fact that it announced Sabrina Carpenter in this way that it feels like we're never going back. Now we're
Yeah,
in a
we're
world
never
where
going
Sabrina
back.
is in it.
Yeah.
Right.
And it feels like Espresso was the
Espresso,
moment.
Nasty, good luck, babe.
Good luck, babe. Birds of a feather.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it was a great summer. Like this
Great
is like
summer.
there's a groundswell happening in music right now, and
cool.
like there's room for everything, and like, fuck, like I don't know, like it's exciting.
Yeah.
And like it's just really exciting me that you're putting out. your stuff
When
again.
do you think we'll get it?
I think really soon. Like, so I just want to,
You think you want to clear Moulin Rouge and then maybe put it out, or you want to like?
that's what I'm thinking.
let it
Give
cook.
myself a little, let her cook a little
Let her
bit, you know? But yeah, I've been sitting on this song for a little bit and just wanting to like make sure I got my business in order so it can come out and do the thing. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm eager.
Are you? Is it indie now? Like, or just still on your
Clover?
imprint? Clover.
Yeah, it's on Clover. I have
Great.
a little distro situation, and it's cool. It's different. It's like I respect so much how Tinashe has rolled it out when you're bringing on people and you're doing it independent, but it's not for the faint of heart. It's actually a lot to learn
Yeah.
from doing it independent.
I want to pick your brain after this. Actually.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. But anyway, can you give us some? If you had to describe the new music in 3 words.
Flirting with pop is 3 words.
Perfect.
Flirting
How about
with
that?
pop.
Flirting with pop.
pop.
Still
We
an
got
R&B girly,
some
but
delicious little hooks.
oh yeah.
But there's nothing like pop R&B music. There's nothing like it. It's why
That's my
I've
sweet
loved you
spot.
so much.
Yeah.
It's what it's
It
Crossover,
hits
if you
you.
will.
I just love people who really fucking mean what they're singing. And pop music is not trash. Pop music actually is very powerful because it gets in people's ears. And when you have a meaningful, demure meaning, like what is it called? Mindful? If we have a mindful singer
Mindfulness is
doing
my
pop
favorite.
music, that's why Sabrina, Olivia Rodrigo, that's why these girls are killing it
I
so.
totally agree.
Yeah.
Because they mean what
exciting.
they're singing.
Yeah.
And they
Imagine that.
Feel it.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
And they're songwriters.
Yes.
And they are, whether they're writing it themselves or collaborating, doesn't matter. These are their stories, and that's why they connect.
Yeah.
And there's no way to, like, whatever labels they're signed to are so lucky to have them because
Yes.
you can't fabricate that.
No, you cannot.
They are real. They are authentic, these girls.
Chapel too.
I think. Yeah, 100%.
Chapel Roan is a beast.
Beast.
Like that bridge on Good Luck Babe. We haven't seen a bridge like that since Disaster.
Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. This is embarrassing, but, like, I am not deep into the Chapel canon. I don't know the world.
Just wait.
Yeah. I need to give it time.
Sure. Take it at your own pace.
You're gonna like that album.
I'm gonna dive in tomorrow when I'm at the theater. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna think of you both.
You think of us
Let us
and
know what you think.
send us
I will.
send us a text.
I will.
Because there's real writing on there, and she's got a beautiful voice. I remember, so we were just talking the other day about like when I first went to go see her at the Fonda, and she had this unbelievable voice, and her energy on stage. The way I described it was like Annie Lennox meets Kesha, like this like super like conceptual like weird drag persona that's like very fun forward, but this voice from like someplace else.
Yeah. Like channeling something where I feel like you were channeling something like
I feel like I'm pitching to her. I feel like
As a
you're
kid.
like this.
I'm
like
like,
you're,
okay,
like you're
okay,
at
I
the
see what
boardroom.
yeah.
The CEO.
Well, my pinstripe pants are
It's
evocative
giving. It's giving
of that,
exact.
isn't it?
It's
Yeah.
giving exact.
yeah.
You're like, I'm sold on her. You don't need to fish.
No.
I'm doing it tomorrow. You know.
This may make or break her.
I have to ask you about Iceland. You wrote about going to
Oh.
Iceland.
Have you been?
I went to work there, and one of my favorite experiences of my life.
Really? Where did you? Ooh,
We
what
did
am I
not go to Blue
doing?
Lagoon. You went to Blue Lagoon, which
Yes.
is iconic.
Yeah.
I went to Sky Lagoon. which is
Okay,
very
I was
fun.
looking at that one too.
Really good if you go again. I just think what a beautiful place.
Didn't it feel like Mars?
Felt like yeah, you feel like you're on another planet.
Yeah.
The nature is like so unbelievable. Like that's where they shot like Interstellar and stuff.
Yes.
It's like like where can we go in the world that makes it seem like no
Underrated
planet?
film, by the way.
Really
Interstellar.
underrated film.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's a good edible on your day off watch. Do you still fuck with weed?
No, it scares me right now.
It scares you right now.
It's not the season for me, for us,
I get you.
for marijuana.
totally.
See,
Yeah.
and we were just talking about how we both need to take a step back because we're actually our proper stoners. But the thing is,
I
like,
wish I could be. I just
I
can't.
know sometimes though, like just sitting in
It's
front of
lovely.
Interstellar, like it really was. And that's a movie I sob. Oh my god, what movie makes you cry the hardest?
Interstellar, I definitely cried for that too.
Arrival. Have you seen that
No,
one?
I haven't seen that.
Really good.
I haven't seen that.
First of all, Amy Adams is that girl, and no one can ever say anything to me because she's deserved an Oscar several times. Arrival is her
Yes.
best performance. It's so beautiful when you really get to what it's about. Like it's one of those movies that's like
Is it about space too? Is
so
that why
it's
you're
an
bringing it
alien
up?
movie. It's an alien encounter movie. She plays someone who is like a linguistics professor who they bring in to communicate with these aliens who they don't know what the aliens want.
And they speak in
So-
like a circular.
Oh, I already have chills.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know
yeah.
why that's moving.
So
to
you
me.
find out that their concept of time is very different, and that speaks to a situation that she goes through, and it is an absolutely beautiful message. And it is one of the great films that
Period.
Denis
Period.
Villeneuve, who did the Dune films, directed it.
Oh,
Yeah, visually very beautiful, very brand new in terms of like
a sci-fi story.
yeah, like just the way that the creatures are designed. Like I thought
so
it was.
you do get to see the creatures?
You
You
do.
do.
You
You do.
intimately see them.
Intimately see them?
Yes, but like
like a big bro, little bro situation.
they made me shoot a load to heaven. Like the video producer doesn't know me, and so I feel like he just understood who I was in a moment, and that's just gonna be. It. Now he's giggly. I tend
Now
to
he's
make
giggly.
straight
He's been
men very
initiated.
giggly when they realize my candor.
Hello.
Hello. So which ones of the boys in Moulin Rouge do you think should date us?
Oh, I love this question.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Are you both single?
We're both
Yeah.
single.
Do you want me to hook you up?
No. By the way, can you give it up for this cover?
This cover's really good.
It came in the mail. I took it out of the envelope. I was
Woo.
like, I gasped.
Be honest.
Not gasped.
I gasped.
You
Wow.
were probably sent a bunch of photos from the shoot. When you saw this, you were like, "That's her."
That's
Let me
that's
be
the
honest
one.
with you. I did this shoot myself in London. We did a whole other shoot. It was just me and Ronaldo, who does social stuff. He's been on my team for a long time. We love you, Ronaldo.
Ronaldo.
And it was just me, him, and the photographer in London. I did a whole other shoot with my book company. Hated it. And just went back to this shoot and was like, sorry guys, I know you just paid for this whole thing, but like, look at this picture. I like this
Great.
one.
This is a beautiful fucking
I was like, I've
photo.
never looked better. Let's do that.
Fuck.
See, and also you talk a lot in the book about like, you know, the way that you have been packaged and the photos that they've chosen and stuff like that.
Oh, I just felt so stupid. Yeah, just some of
Yeah,
the.
but like, you
some
know
of the-
what? That is empowering because you're like, I'm going to tell my story. I'm also going to pick the fucking photo.
Yeah, it just had to be that.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on.
Been doing this too long.
To say, you know, we're over the influence. I I just love it.
I love it so much.
Might it be time for I don't think so,
I think
honey?
it's time for I don't think so, honey.
Okay, so we've
Okay.
arrived at that part of the episode where we take 60 seconds to rant against something in culture that is bothering us a little bit. Now, today I'm not going to be so cultural. I'm going to talk about something a little personal. And I feel like this episode I've been very bodily, and that's not going to stop.
Bodily?
I've been bodily
Okay.
in terms of
Of
my
the body?
vocabulary. I've been
body.
talking about Big Bro and what he sort of makes my body do. I'm
body
going to
do.
talk about what's another thing that's happening with my body.
Uh-oh.
Can't
Okay.
wait.
Coming out a different end, I
No,
think.
stop.
This is Matt Rogers. I don't think so, honey's time starts now.
I don't think so, honey. Why is my one foot all of a sudden bigger than my other
This
foot?
is crazy.
I swear to God, if someone can explain to me what is happening, please. The other night we were at a wedding. I wore some nice shoes. I have these nice boots, and I put one foot in one shoe, another foot in another shoe, and I realized the one shoe doesn't fit. Cut to about 3 weeks ago. We're with our stylist getting ready for a thing we're doing. And I put my shoe in one of the... I put my foot in one of the
30
shoes,
seconds.
and it's the same thing. So now it's not even discriminating on... It's just this pair of shoes, like maybe something happened to these leather boots. No, it's my foot. Is it the fact that I'm on a treadmill a lot? What is happening to my
something.
one foot?
Oh.
Stop it!
15
This is about my feet. All you foot freaks out there are probably flipping out.
Ew.
We can talk. Not against it. Not
5
pro
seconds.
it.
Not above
Anyway, why is my one foot bigger than the other suddenly? I don't think so, honey.
That's 1 minute.
Does
Wow.
anyone know? Is it an every 7 years thing?
It's-
It might be actually.
Do you
But
know the
why
answer to
just
this?
one?
Why just one?
well, so there is. I am not a doctor and I'm not a scientist.
You're not?
Then shut up.
I do believe like one side of your body is bigger than the other.
It's like when women
It's
are like
not
my one
symmetrical.
tit.
And I do have that.
You have one bigger tit than the
My
other?
right
I've got one
side
bigger
is bigger
tit.
than my left
I need to
side.
explore
In
and
totality.
see which one is bigger.
Like it's like I mean y'all don't see it,
I guess
but
it
is
makes
visible
sense.
in my bras.
It make and I'm literally as I'm talking right now, I'm realizing my one foot just feels bigger. I
Wow.
also think you know what I think I have. So every single morning when I wake up, the back like above my heel feels sore, and when I get up, I'm like when I walk, I'm like ooh, I think I have Achilles tendonitis. From
I think I
overuse.
have that too.
Yeah,
Yeah, my
yeah.
friggin' Achilles
Yes.
thing is
It
Achilles
feels
tendon.
tender, right, and sore.
Tender.
And when I was feeling the one, especially on the right, I was like, is there a little bit of a bump here?
Do we
So
need
I,
inserts for our shoes? Is that where
It's
we're at in our
time.
mid
Now, don't
30s?
tell me-
30s.
That's
See,
what's
and
happening.
suddenly you're identifying as mid
Yeah. All it took me was the length
Because
of the
we're
episode.
saying words like
Stop.
Achilles tendonitis and
And
insoles.
souls. I think y'all need to go to the podiatrist.
No, that's T.
You know what I mean?
That
That's
is T. Foot T.
Foot T.
I
Your
wish
foot
my
T.
foot was T. My foot is not T.
No,
my
my-
body's been kind of T lately. My foot is not T.
Your body is
Okay.
T.
Stop. Well, just tell any one of those absolutely stacked dancers.
Josh.
Actually, to be honest with you,
Which one
sometimes
did
I'm
you
like, I liked them all.
Okay.
The one you talked about. But also sometimes I'm like, if a guy like that was interested in me, I don't even know if I would know what to do with
No,
all
I
that.
know.
I'm sure I would
all
figure
that.
it out. But like, wow. Like I used to say like my ideal would be with a Broadway dancer.
And that still holds true.
It still
I
holds true,
imagine.
but it's like a little intimidating. These men are.
Let them lead. They know what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Let them
You
lead.
hear that?
Let
Yeah.
them lead.
Let them lead. It's actually real culture number 19.
Let
them
them
lead.
lead.
They know what they're
They're
doing.
doing.
Re-Broadway dancers. So that's, if anyone out there can tell me why my one foot is suddenly bigger than the other and wasn't always, that would be amazing. And yes, I checked the sizing of the shoe and they were the same size. It's not the shoe.
It's not the show.
Yves
It's
Saint
you.
Laurent, you continue to do wonderful work. A shoe I was gifted did not
Another
buy.
Flex. Oh my god.
That wasn't a wealth flex. But so what if it was?
So what if it was? I'm sorry.
Okay. Ready?
I'm ready.
This will be Bo and Yang's. I don't think so, honey. And if I can find my stopwatch, his
Don't you
time will
wanna use
stop
mine?
now. Wait, oh, there it
There it
is.
is.
Sometimes I get confused and I go to the calculator one instead of the clock
They're
one.
similar. Oh, that's an I don't think so. honey,
Easy
right there.
mistake.
Design flaw. Apple, are you listening? Okay, this is Bo and Yang's I don't think so, honey. His time starts now.
I don't think so, honey. Why is women's tennis best out of 3 and men's tennis best out of 5? I just learned that this weekend after going to the Open. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Not a lick.
I want to see the women play a little longer, if anything. But if we're striving for gender parity, then I think we might as well just make it the same rules. Everything else is the same. Why can't the number of sets be the same? I cannot believe what I was seeing. I was seeing Pegula go against Swiatek. Swiatek? Okay, that was a thrilling game, and then that ended
30
much
seconds.
too soon. And then I had to see Mr. Sinner go up against what's his face?
Taylor Fritz.
Not
You
Taylor
look
Fritz. At
like
the quarterfinal,
Taylor
it was someone else. But I was just like, I think I would have preferred to watch the women play longer.
Yeah,
I'm a
100%,
new.
always.
I get it now.
15 seconds.
I lost so much time in my life not standing tennis, and now I finally do. Sports are back, y'all. I mean, this Olympics really lit a fire under my ass. And now I'm like, I'm
5
I'm putting
seconds?
it on every day. I'm doing little chores around the house. I'm putting the game on.
That's what I meant. This is our big sports year.
Putting the game on.
Putting the game on.
I want to see it for you, and I want to put the game on too.
Yes.
When I saw Challengers, that's when I
First of all, round of applause.
so good, so hot,
So hot.
loved it. But then I started taking tennis lessons because I'm like, I want a tennis bay. I think
Uh-huh.
that's a sexy thing. I did watch none of the U.S. Open,
That's
nor did I
okay.
go. It's not okay, and it needs to change next year.
I didn't
about
watch any either, except when we went to the men's final.
Okay, those were I don't think so, honeys.
That was them.
Joanna,
Okay.
do you have one?
Yes, I've been thinking about this all night long.
Okay, this is really good. Okay, so this is Joe's I Don't Think So, Honey. Jojo Levesque. Her time starts now.
I don't think so, honey. Why do you say, I don't know if either of you say it like this, important? When did people start doing it like that? Is this a Kardashian speak? And like the slowing down and the everything up? Also, do I speak like this now? Like people speaking like they're from this region that doesn't exist, or like, you know what I mean? It's like it no longer, and I think it's because of, I think it's LA, not LA's fault, but it is probably keeping up with the Kardashians' fault, right?
Yeah.
But the slow speak, and I'm sorry if I don't know who speaks this way, but I started seeing it. It reminds me of like the demure and stuff like that, but like important.
Yes, yes.
When did we start breaking words apart
Yeah.
like this? It's beautiful. I like it. It makes me feel good and a little ASMR and tingly. But
15 seconds?
But what inspired us to speak this way?
Yes.
And also, like, it's interesting when I have to ask people, like, where are you from? Because you just sound like a Kardashian.
Right.
You know what I
seconds.
mean? So, how am I going to fill up these last 3 seconds? Do I sound like this too? Am I aware of what I sound like? Anyway.
And that's 1 minute. You've really pinpointed something that has bothered me so much, and this is why it's a great I Don't Think So, Honey, because I've never said it out loud. There are people who be like, important.
right.
Important.
Yeah.
They will hit all the, and
Important.
sometimes I'm like, I don't know.
It is really
Is it like an
important.
accent? Is there just like, is there a regionalism? Is there, are they, an immigrant of some kind where I don't want to like be like, why are you saying it like that? But it's enough people now where I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a trend, I think.
Can
right?
you both say the word as you would say it?
Important.
Important.
Okay.
And I don't think that's correct.
I think that is correct.
First of all,
Okay.
they're gonna be like, not.
We're
not,
like,
not a mass hole in a
I
Long
know!
Islander telling us how to talk.
Important.
Important. It's important.
Important.
You know, I've been called out because I say picture like picture,
A picture.
and I say
Picture.
remember like member.
How do you say museum? Do I say it weird?
That was
You
insane.
actually say it in the chicest way.
Museum.
Museum. Museum.
Like it's Shazam's
Museum.
cousin.
Museum.
How do you say it?
Museum.
Museum.
But that's just me.
Museum.
Museum.
How do you
Shazam!
How do
Do
you
you say
say
aquarium?
How do you say the thing above a house?
A roof.
Okay.
But my granddad used to say a rough.
Rough.
But I
Because
say
we're from
room.
Mass.
I say room.
A rum.
Yeah, I say I'm going to my room.
How do you
I'm going to my room.
This room.
How do you say the video game character that wears a red hat?
Mario?
Thank you.
Mario.
I say
Mario. He's
I say
Mario.
You would.
Yeah, but I'm Long Island. I
Long
am.
Island.
Like, if that's the thing is like, if I ever get a little angry or a little drunk, he comes out.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
Boston self comes out, and it's like I've lived in LA a long time, but when I get drunk or
Yeah.
angry, it's coming out.
You you absolutely said Wicked earlier.
Yeah.
And you weren't talking
She's
about
back
the
on the East
November
Coast.
2024 film. Are you excited?
Oh my God, am I excited?
Have you seen that on Broadway?
No, I saw it in the West End maybe
Oh,
years
perfect.
ago,
Yeah.
so I have seen
You
it.
just saw it in the West
I
End
saw
a
it in
couple
the
years
West
ago.
End. So funny. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry, funny because they really dig it because they speak in British accents in that show.
Right.
It's so funny. Just the difference is so popular. Law. It's like, oh yeah, sure, that works.
I love it.
I love it.
You know, there's
I'm
been
so excited.
so the Wicked trailers have come out, and I want to say, if you want to, and this is I'm just saying it,
Yeah.
the best Wicked trailer yet is the Italian Wicked trailer.
Okay,
Really?
You told me this the other night.
Why?
I gotta watch it.
I don't know why internationally trailers are different than domestic trailers, but for some reason they will send out different versions of different cuts of entire trailers. I guess to market the film differently.
Yeah.
I think, my opinion, and I don't know this.
American audiences don't want to know that it's a musical.
Well, we are
trash
the studios don't like to tell people that it's a musical because they believe if audiences know something is a musical, they won't come. So a lot of times they try to make the movie look like a Marvel movie or like, you know,
Well,
if
they tried to hide that the Mean Girls reboot was a musical.
Yes, they
right?
did
Like,
try
I
to
had no
hide it.
awareness until like later.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
it was full on, which is in fact the reason it existed is because there was the musical on
Yeah.
Broadway, and then it was this. But what they will do, I think, with or what they're doing with the Wicked trailer is, I think they assume that maybe a lot of people in America know the story, and so they're just building it around big set pieces and like trying to capitalize on the fact that this is a story about two women who support each other. Whereas like the Italian trailer kind of tells the story a little bit more about the fact that they are actually at odds throughout most of it, because you know what I mean? Like, I think there's something more international happening with the way they're trying to get the story across.
Okay.
And then the American trailer, in my opinion, is more capitalizing on, look at how beautiful this looks. These are the stars. You know,
Yeah.
everyone gets sort of a little moment. Whereas like the other trailer is like, this is the narrative that you'll be seeing unfold,
So interesting.
depending on what I guess people need to decide if they're going to buy a ticket, which I don't know what's in dispute. It's Wicked.
Like, do you speak Italian, or how do you know like what's being narrated as far as the trailer, or you just know from the way they're piecing it together?
Subtitles are an amazing thing.
Subtitles. Wow, guys.
It's actually
I
roller
live-
coaster number 100. Subtitles are an amazing thing.
I'm 150 years old. I'm not familiar with
But if you're 150, then do you ever, like, when you're watching TV, do you do the subtitles?
Yes,
all the
because
time.
my vision is impaired because I'm in my mid-30s. So I need the help I can
What a
get.
journey we've been on this episode.
The whole bridge that I crossed to accept.
When you
that
said
at
you
33, I'm in my
wouldn't
mid-30s.
accept it, and now you've identified
Now
as
I'm in
elderly.
full acceptance, yeah.
Man, the water's warm.
This episode has aged you,
It really has.
but in a beautiful way.
Thank you.
You've told your
Like a
story,
fine wine.
not just here on the episode, but in this amazing book.
September 17th, Over the Influence.
Wow.
Come on, let's
What a
go.
moment.
This is really, you did such an amazing job. And what I will say is, I know you didn't use a ghostwriter, which had to be scary. And
I was
like,
scared,
and a lot, but I will say, what an amazing choice, because you know this came from you. And in that way, it's a real page turner, because there's no pretense and there's no dilly-dallying and there's no, obviously there's editing, but there's no editing. You know what I'm saying? Is it's like, this is feels like what happened, and I just really fucking respect you even more than I already did because of how beautifully you told this. And I thank you for it.
Thank you for
because-
gassing me up this whole episode, you guys. I am about to go out and take over the world.
Come
I love
on.
y'all. Thank you.
They call us what do they call us? Molly pills.
Molly pills.
They call you Molly pills?
No, we
No.
just called ourselves.
We're just trying to give ourselves.
I was trying to
tagline.
deflect the compliment, and I ended up being silly. But the fact is, we
love you. We
Absolutely
adore you.
I
you.
adore you. I'm honored to be sitting on this burnt orange
Velvet.
look. It's
Las
not the set of Moulin Rouge, okay?
Guys, I'm a fucking lost cult. I am so excited. So.
Oh my God!
Thank you.
Love
Well,
you so much.
we simply adore, and the fact is, we end every episode with a song. It's just a little too wrong, and I can't wait. You know all the right things to say.
You know it's just a little too late. We
Love
did it!
We sure did. Oh
Wow,
my
man, I
God,
just got
that was
chills.
the best.